Good evening. This is Truby Chiavello. I'm the editor of Primo Magazine, and I'm coming to you today from Washington, D.C. Today's date is March 28th, and the topic today is Columbus Day. And the fate of Columbus Day hangs in the balance in the United States Congress. And before I go any further, I want to invite you to, if you like this video, please press the like button. Please share this video so we can get the word out to everyone about what's going on with Columbus Day and the Italian American community. And most importantly, please subscribe. When you subscribe to our YouTube channel, this helps us in the algorithm aspect of things to build our following and get the word out as to what's going on. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. But I come to you today with a bit of an emergency about Columbus Day. It's a federal holiday, as you know, celebrated in the second Monday of October. It's been that way for many, many years. But back in September of 2023, Senator Martin Heinrich of New Mexico, he's a Democrat, introduced legislation that would replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day. Now, this is Senate Bill 2970. That's right, Senate Bill 2970. And about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, Andre Domino, the president of the Italian American One Voice Coalition, along with Basil M. Russo, president of the Conference of Presidents of major Italian American organizations, asked all Italian Americans to get active, to call their senators, and tell them that we want to keep Columbus Day. Now, this legislation remains in the Judiciary Committee, and that's how things work. If when they propose a bill, it has to go through committee first before it goes to the floor of the chamber for it to be voted by majority vote, and then it has to go to the second chamber. In this case, it would be the House of Representatives, and they'd have to introduce a similar bill there. Same thing, go through committee, then have the committee has to approve it. Once it's approved, it has to go to the floor of the chamber for a simple majority vote. If both chambers, if both the Senate and the House of Representatives votes to, in this case, eliminate Columbus Day, then that would become the law to be signed by the president, in this case, President Biden. So if Congress passed a law to eliminate Columbus Day as a federal holiday, would President Biden sign this into law, or would he veto it? That's a good question. I don't know what he would do actually in that case. But anyway, where we're at right now is the Senate Bill 2970 is stuck in the Judiciary Committee. Now, the Democrats have the majority in the Senate. They have a 51-49 majority there in the U.S. Senate. So if this bill came to the floor, it could be close. It would be close, but if everyone voted according to party line, they would vote to eliminate Columbus Day. And this is the way it's been, really. It's been the Democrats that have been pushing this. We've seen this in a number of cities, states, municipalities, school boards, you name it. They either want to eliminate Columbus Day or tear down a monument or statue of Columbus in a public park, or just do both and just try and eliminate the legacy of Columbus in their communities. But at a national level, this is really the first instance where we see that there's a move to eliminate Columbus Day as a federal holiday. Now, if you're from Pennsylvania and you're an Italian American, be aware that when this bill was introduced, Senate Bill 2970 by Martin Heinrich, Senator Bob Casey Jr., who was a senator from Pennsylvania, he's running for re-election, he immediately supported this bill. So he's in favor of removing Columbus Day as a federal holiday, replacing it with Indigenous Peoples Day. So he's up for a very tight reelection campaign. It looks like he's going to face the Republican Dave McCormick. I don't know where Dave McCormick stands on this, but the way it's been pretty much in every instance, it's the Democrats that will support eliminating Columbus Day, and it's the Republican that you can be sure will try to keep Columbus Day. So if that's the case in Pennsylvania, please, please do not vote for Bob Casey for reelection. Again, don't vote for Bob Casey Jr. for reelection because he supports eliminating Columbus Day. So there we have in the Senate. Now, my sources, those active in the Italian American community, told me that the safeguard we had was that even if this bill passed in the Senate, it would be dead on arrival in the House of Representatives because the Republicans had the majority. Now, back in 2022, as you recall, in November, there was the midterm elections, and everybody had predicted a red wave. That really didn't happen, but it was enough to give the Republicans a majority. And in 2022, at the end of the year, the Republicans had a majority, 222 votes to the Democrats, 213. Well, today it's now 218 to 213. And by April 19th, that's going to drop to 217 to 213. So the Republicans will have a very slim majority. And if another congressman falls to the side, then you're getting very close to where the Democrats can have a majority. And if the Democrats have a majority in the House of Representatives, and the bill is successful in the Senate, it's very likely that they will then move to eliminate Columbus Day in the House, and together they could send that to the president to sign into law. Now, why is this happening? How do the Republicans go from a majority of 222 down to what's going to be by next month 217? How did they lose 5 representatives? Well, they lost them because of Donald Trump. There is a move in the House of Representatives to try and take Donald Trump off the ballot. He's running for president. He's running for to get back into the White House. He's ahead in the polls in a number of places. And Congressman Jamie Raskin, he's a Democrat from Maryland, introduced legislation that would take Donald Trump off the ballot because he's accused of insurrection based upon what happened in the January 8th, 2022 riot and upheaval that took place there at the U.S. Capitol. So the reports are that if the Democrats have a majority of votes, they will try to remove Donald Trump. They don't have that majority yet. So you have Republicans who are just resigning. They're not announcing their resignation and then they're going to finish out their term. This is what normally happens. A congressman or senator might say, I don't want to run for re-election. I'm just going to finish out my term. Okay, fine. But in this case, they're just resigning and leaving the seat vacant. So that reduces the voting majority of the Republicans. Now, who's doing this? Well, Kevin McCarthy, the Republican from California, that's the 20th district in California. He had been elected speaker, and then he was taken out from his speakership role, and he just announced he's going to resign, and he did. And then Bill Johnson from the 6th Congressional District of Ohio, he's resigned his seat, so his seat is now vacant. and Ken Buck, the from the 4th District Republican representative from the 4th Congressional District in Colorado. He's announced his resignation, and his seat's going to be vacant. And interestingly, most recently, Michael Gallagher, Congressman Mike Gallagher of the 8th Congressional District of Wisconsin. Now, he is resigning, but get this, he's going to leave his post not before April 19th. And what that means is that because of Wisconsin law, they can't hold an immediate election to replace him. They have to wait till November. So this is what's going on. Now, let me just digress for a moment and explain. I've been in Washington, D.C. for about 25 years. It's not a big city, small enough where you can get to know a lot of people. And when Donald Trump became president, I've never seen anything like it, where so many people here were outraged that he was going to become the president. And there was just this move to undercut him, undermine him. We saw 2 attempts to impeach him. And why was that? Why did that happen? Well, when Trump came to the White House, he had no network here. He had no base. It's really quite an extraordinary story when you think about it. Here's someone who never ran for political office. The first time he goes to seek political office, he goes for the top position, the presidency, and he gets it. But there was no one here that owed their job to Donald Trump. No one in the bureaucracies, no one on Capitol Hill, no one among the White House staff that goes along with any new president. So there was no loyalty to him, and that's why you had chaos at the White House. He was a known entity. He was a celebrity, a multi-billionaire, but he had no political network here. Even within his own party, he didn't have that. So that's why people turned against him, because they could, and there was no real consequence to it. Another thing that people overlook is that Donald Trump is the first president we've had from New York City. We have the 2 Roosevelts, for instance, Teddy Roosevelt and Franklin Roosevelt. They came from outside of New York, but Trump is the first one who's from Queens originally. He's from New York City, born and bred. That's where he did all of his work. And so his New York style, which is famously brash and bold, doesn't go along with the style here in Washington, D.C. Washington is a city that's much more deliberative. It's quieter. People like to do things behind the scenes. This kind of bombastic approach that Trump is famous for was immediately offensive to everyone here in Washington. I've run into a lot of people here in Washington, D.C. who left New York, live and work here because they thought it was too brash and too bold and too loud, and just all the famous attributes of New York. So that also is part of it. And so that's why Trump is not a popular person in Washington at all. And that's why you see this movement to try and take him off the ballot. So this is all directed at Donald Trump. But the effect would be quite negative in trying to keep Columbus Day. Now, go back and remember 2020, after George Floyd was killed in Minneapolis. Immediately, we saw riots all over the place, in many cities. Here in Washington, D.C., just a couple blocks away, up and down Wisconsin Avenue, it was awful. They were breaking windows, storming the stores. It was terrible. And the rage was directed at the police, right? And at Donald Trump. And then who? Christopher Columbus. Almost immediately, you saw Columbus statues and monuments being torn down. In St. Paul, Minnesota, in broad daylight, Columbus statue right there on the grounds of the state capitol was torn down by somebody days after George Floyd was killed and days after the riots occurred. In Chicago, we saw 3 statues taken down by the order of the mayor because a riot was occurring. The target was Columbus. And it's very strange when you think about it because Columbus has been dead for 500 years. He never set so much as a toe in what is today the United States. He had no contact, no interaction with the indigenous people, had nothing to do with the slave trade. However, he is the metaphor for whatever ills society, white supremacy, systemic racism, whatever you feel like, whatever is the cause, Columbus is targeted. He's an easy target because he's dead, he's not here, he can't defend himself, his statues are defenseless, and it's something that's been going on. So my belief is that if they get the vote, the Democrats in the House of Representatives, and they move to take Trump off the ballot either before that happens or after that happens, whether or not they're successful or not, they will move to eliminate Columbus Day, because this is just kind of what the pattern is if they have the votes. So you have the Senate bill, Senate 2970. It's in Judiciary Committee. And you have the House of Representatives, where the Republican majority is being reduced. And this sets up a situation whereby our political adversaries can move to eliminate Columbus Day once and for all as a federal holiday. So what do we do? What can we do? Well, there are those out there who may say that we should go out there and demonstrate like our adversaries, hold up traffic, have sit-ins, whatever it is. I would not advise that. What I advise is for us to go through the system. And the reason for that is what you learn in political science class is those who are out of power, it's more acceptable by society, by members of the media, by the political class, that they will demonstrate, that they will protest, that they may even riot to try and get their voices heard since they're out of power. But when you do this and you're in power, the results are quite counterproductive. We saw this happening at the U.S. Capitol building on January 6th. I thought it was a good idea if they wanted to have a rally per se, but then to take their march and go up to the Capitol is a bad idea, because when you're trying to preserve the status quo, you look overtly violent, overtly brutal when you demonstrate, when you protest this way. What's expected is for us to go through the system, and the system is there for us. We can go through the law, through the courts, or we can take our position to the congressman directly when they come home and visit with their constituents. Now, it's been very successful for us in many cases. I commend the Italian American One Voice Coalition, Andre Domino. They show up at the school board meetings when they want to take Columbus Day out of the calendar. They show up there to protest, to say, when there's a meeting, when they want to hear people, get their feedback. They do this in municipal meetings and such, and they've had some success. And that's the way to go, because we're trying to preserve the status quo. We're trying to preserve a holiday that's been on the books for many years. To do that, we have to go through the system. And, call your congressman and your senator, tell them you want to keep Columbus Day, send them an email to your congressman and your senators, tell them you want to keep Columbus Day. Write them a good old-fashioned letter. That's great. Print, mail them a letter saying you want them to keep Columbus Day, and show up when they come to visit their constituents and they have meetings and forums. They want to hear feedback. That's also very, very effective. And don't do what our adversaries do. Don't be violent. Don't be insulting. Don't be disrespectful. We're trying to go through the system. And to do that, we have to be very respectful We have to say our piece, say what we want, but do it in a very respectful and especially nonviolent way. And that's what we have to do. So spread the word around, please. Let everyone know that we're facing a situation that could get serious the next couple of months because the votes have changed in the House of Representatives. We have Senate Bill 2970 that's in Judiciary. The Democrats could be in control of both chambers or close to it enough where they could get a bill passed to eliminate Columbus Day. So this is where we're at. And we're Italian Americans. We fight the good fight always. We're there. And we have a lot of energy and advocacy on our side to make sure that we can keep Columbus Day for the future. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave that here on the YouTube channel. I'll have links for you as best I can, links to the Congress, perhaps, if I can get them. You can contact your congressman or your senators. If leaders in your community, please notify them that this is something that's happening. And until we meet again, I want to thank you very much. Please subscribe to our channel. It's very important that when you subscribe, we change the algorithm nature of what's happening. We can then spread the word around even more so. Anyway, I'm Truby Chiavello, editor of Prima Magazine, and thank you for watching, and we'll get it done. We're going to fight this out. Thank you very much.